Hello there everyone, and we're going to have a quick catch up with the latest Hytale news that have come out in recent days. So anything from a game status update, community suggestions on new features, additions of fire spread, grass spreading, avatar presets, and news on animations and modding roles for those budding community modders out there. So let's get on with it. So to start with, we had Simon give us a little game status update about where we are with Hytale at the moment and where things are going. So let's have a quick look at what he had to say. So Simon says, I want to take a moment to talk about where the game is right now and where it is going. First, we should not compare Hytale today to what it currently offers versus where we expect it to be in the long term. What you're playing right now is just the start of our long journey, and pretty much all aspects of the game need major work. A few months ago, I said the game wasn't good enough, and I still mean it. I'm incredibly grateful for the game's success right now, and for how many of you see its potential. Honestly, I did not expect such a positive reaction across the board. That support is real and it matters, but we need to stay disciplined and focused. The real danger at this stage will be to chase short-term satisfaction and lose sight of the long-term health of the game. We could very easily add more progression systems for the sake of progression, more loot, dungeons, boss fights, talent trees, new weapons, armors, ores, and much more. Sure, we could throw those in within a few weeks, however, that would be the easy road and it would distract us from building the foundation we need for the systems that matter. Hytale is meant to be a forever game, and we are building it that way. Trust me, I'm a big fan of these features and want to work on them as soon as possible, but I must be patient and focus on executing the long-term vision. That being said, our dev approach is pretty unique, and I know it can feel weird at times and feel like it contradicts the long-term focus, but it's somewhat both calculated and fun. A lot of features go out in a V1 state, half-baked on purpose, so you and the modding community can mess with them and show what is good and what needs work. Take the Necromancy Grimoire for example. When it first dropped, people were unsure what it was for and why it felt so limited. 2 weeks later, in the most recent pre-release, you can already see it getting better. That is intentional. Those early versions help us to experiment with magic and set up the groundwork for things like summoning allies in future major updates. The feature might not be polished, but its bones, no pun intended, are there. Similar to Fire Spread and the Flamethrower coming to creative mode this week, it may feel raw, but your feedback and playtesting will shape it. We do this so we can keep updates coming quickly and refine these systems before they are cemented into the core game. Our focus right now is spot on: core game mechanics, quality of life, and everything needed to support the game's future, plus some fun stuff. Of course, we need these basics solid to get the ground ready for adventure mode and, soon, begin the Cursebreaker story arc via exploration mode. Behind the scenes, production is moving very well. We are a lean team with limited management, and yet everyone is clear on the path forward and motivated by what we are doing. Seeing what you all make with the modding tools so far has been one of the most motivating parts of development. Early access has exceeded expectations and has given us runway beyond what we need to reach full release. That means we can accelerate, take risks, and invest in long-term systems. We'll be opening up job roles soon, and I fully expect many of the people who help shape Hytale in the future will come from the Hytale community you're building right now. If you're a modder reading this, here's the real call to action. Get your hands dirty with the tools while they are still forming. Break the things that need breaking, show us what works, what doesn't, and what the game could be once these early systems evolve. Your experimentation is actually shaping Hytale. You're not just playing the game, you're helping make it. We will have announcements soon about how you can join the team and get more formally involved. But if you want to help shape the long-term direction of the game, start by building it now. This was a nice update from Simon. I think it covers the current situation pretty good. So basically they're emphasizing that obviously they want to do this right. They don't want to half bake it. They want to make sure the core mechanics of the games are in there, but also staying a bit experimental, drip feeding stuff out into the community so the modders and the players can get a handle on it, feel it out, see what works, what doesn't work. Don't rush in too quickly because they have this long-term vision for the game, and this is how I see the game as well. It is a hopefully forever game. It's not a quick in a couple of years, play for a little bit, then it peters out. There's so much potential here with the modding side alone, let alone what the developers are going to create with their core plan. I like the approach they're taking. They're emphasizing the modding side. The modders are a key ingredient to the game's future, which is good to see. We're going to have to look at games like Skyrim as a classic example of what modding can do for longevity of a game. So yeah, this is all in all very positive to see, and I think it's an exciting time to be following the game right at the beginning here, because it's going to change so much. There's going to be so much added, and it's going to be real good fun being along for the ride, that's for sure. Simon put a question out to the community which was, what small features or quality of life improvements would you like us to add to Hytale in the short term? I already have a massive list from the in-game feedback button, Discord, Reddit, YouTube, and other social platforms, so we are not running out of things to do. That said, I am curious to see what you think should be the highest priority. So we're just going to take a look at some of these suggestions which Simon has responded to, just to get an overall feel on what the community is asking for and what his responses back were. So this first user had a few suggestions to add here. I won't read them all out, but just to mention a couple that caught my eye. So torches go back into the offhand slot when picked up, if already there. Definitely agree with that one. A way to pick crops faster. Currently it's very slow. I definitely agree with that one. Lure animals with food. Very buggy currently, or add a lead. Most definitely needed for this early taming farming gameplay. Losing special charge when swapping to heals. Need a better mechanic that doesn't perma-keep it, but doesn't lose it when you need to heal. So I think this is talking about weapon charges. When you switch out of a weapon and then back, you lose the built up charge. I don't know if they did this because of balance reasons, especially PvP. In theory, you could get a charge in all your weapons, like 5 or 6 or whatever, then instantly switch between them to do a special, another special, and another one. You could argue that for PvE, that's fine. It could be abused in certain places, but you know, if it's fun, what's the harm? But in PvP, if people have a ton of weapons all charged up in their pack, they can just keep switching to have special attack after special attack, then you could argue that's probably not going to be very balanced or fun, but who knows. And finally, ability to write on signs or have an item frame that holds items for storage organization. Yeah, this is definitely a great suggestion. It's needed when you've got all those chests that you need to mark and label. Currently, I don't think there's any way to do that. You're just trying to remember what you put in each chest, so having some proper label blocks would be very nice. And Simon responds with, most of that is on my to-do list. Yeah, they've already got it covered, so it's nice to see he's got those on his radar already. And then another user says, a zoom functionality would be fantastic. And Simon responds, we'll add spyglass at some point. It's in a prototype branch on our side and will be added in a couple of weeks. Modders will be able to just swap to a keybind eventually, but for us, we don't want to just add a quality of life keybind. It needs to serve gameplay purposes. Yeah, that's a good idea. I like things which are added to the game which make sense and fit in to the game world. It's not just a magical zoom out of nowhere. It's nice that the feature's there for those purposes, but to have an item in the game that takes advantage of that, I think is pretty important for keeping the immersion there. Moving on, a map that saves your progress. 100% agree with this. Please add it as soon as possible. Also, more dinosaurs. Totally a quality of life change. Functional boats. Oh, I love a good boat system. If they can do this well, I'll be in love with Hytale forever. Taming system. Same goes for taming. Get a good taming system in there. It adds such a lot to games if you do a good job of it. Ultima Online taming, I'm looking at you. All armors have different stats. Not everything is equal to iron armor. And Simon mentions that's all planned. That's fantastic to hear. And then we have, I would really love the block group cycling for Hammer UI to be made so it would support more than just 6 blocks. Image for my idea, basically adding pages to them. Simon says, the hammer is indeed just the beginning of a better thing to come. Very nice. Grass spreading, I beg you. Simon mentions it's on the way, just need a second dev review before it goes to pre-release, which is good to hear. Makes those ground blocks tidier. You don't have patches of dirt everywhere where you've altered the terrain in the world. Dismounting from ladders can feel a bit sticky, especially in a 1x1 space or hole. When going up or down newly mined stair place, actual stair pieces to clean it up would be nice to be able to just hold the place button and have the same orientation used for the last stair, rather than worrying about precise targeting each placement. Simon just goes on to mention the climbing part where he says there's a rework of the climbing coming in soon. It is a bit finicky. If you change the option in the options menu to just move up and down a ladder instead of the direction you're looking, I find it's a bit easier to get on with then. But yeah, improvements are definitely needed in this area. Give me a glider or wingsuit, please, or utilize the pigeon potion to allow the player to glide like a bird. Simon says glider is in creative at the moment and will be added as soon as we get enough time to make it feel less janky, lol. Hint, if a modder fixes it, I'll gladly pay for it. Hint, hint modders, opportunities there for you if you want to earn yourself some money. Simon, How do I put a saddle on my horse? This MF keeps running away. Simon mentions, basic taming is coming soon. Don't worry, lol. So glad to hear that. The horses, they're nice to use, but they're just a pain at the moment with no taming being available. Can't wait for the taming system. It's going to add so much to the game. Not losing your ultimate charge every time you switch weapons and not losing crossbow bolts each time you deselect it. Simon mentions, we have a test prototype of this. We might release it at some point because it's quite fun. Yeah, kind of touched on this earlier. With weapon switching, you lose your special, and especially the crossbow. It really is annoying and doesn't make any sense when you switch out and you lose all your bolts magically. Having that retain what you've got loaded would make the weapon so much nicer to use. That the enemies are more difficult. And Simon simply mentions yes. And I think most of us could agree with this. They are a bit too easy for the most part. You want some reason to have to wear the better armors or kind of think a bit more about what you do in early game. Because I remember early Minecraft, we had to watch out for creepers and other things at night time, which were a real threat. I think they could amp it up a little bit here. Server information on the server list, message of the day, player count icon, server list scrolling actually working. Right now, if you add too many servers, it just goes off the page and you can't access them. Color in name tags above head, multi-line support in name tags above the head. Simon says the server list is getting a big rework very soon. We'll even show some servers by default. Very nice for those community servers, so very good to see they keep continually improving the server side of things too. More modding documentation. Let the community build up content so you can focus on story, bosses, adventure in general. Simon mentions we've dropped documentation weekly at the moment, more videos coming up in the coming days as well. Yeah, I think this is kind of one they've always been pretty clear on, that they're aiming to drop documentation as they go, and they're doing a pretty good job of it so far, so I think this is already kind of being addressed. Improvements in the mods tab, search bar an option to activate all, or something like that. I believe this would be even more practical for activating mods in the world. Simon mentions the mods will get a huge user experience and UI update in the future. Yeah, I think this is a pretty obvious one. I mean, with how much they're pushing and focusing on the modding community, it would be ridiculous if they didn't do this. So yeah, these are always going to get some more improvements going forwards. Hi, not a quality of life, but an avatar one. Sorry. Could we maybe get one or two more coily hairs, like a big afro or long locks? There's a lot of amazing choice already, but I can't really make myself, haha, afro. Thank you, Simon says. A ton of new hairstyles are coming up in the coming weeks. Yeah, this is something they're going to always keep adding, isn't it, really? It's an easy win for them to get someone churning these out. And I think they recently hired someone, didn't they, specialises in this kind of modding, cosmetic stuff. A simple one-word suggestion here, boats. And Simon mentions, I know, we could do it the easy, boring way or the fun way. Not sure yet if we should do the boring way first, so players get something while they wait. I couldn't agree with this one more. Boats add such dynamic gameplay options that if you do them right, especially with a world like this that's got massive stretches of, surrounding waterways and oceans. I think what Simon's saying here is a good suggestion for them to do both. Just add a simple, few block wide boat, just so you're not tediously swimming everywhere. That'll tide people over until they get proper boats in. My personal dream is, although this may be a bit optimistic, is build proper pirate ship, old galleon style ships with interiors, cannons. Just imagine the modding possibility with something like that. Whole new game modes with the water system they've got already and how beautiful it already looks. I don't know if it's possible for them to add waves in the future, but boy, it should be. And I think there's so many ways they could take that just alone that it kind of goes back to showing just what they can do with this game. There's so many possibilities with it. A friend list, to be fair, and Simon mentions it's planned and almost done. So that's really nice to hear for those lucky people out there that have actual friends. So after all those suggestions, Simon mentioned the following, which was quite funny. This post made our to-do list even bigger. Oh boy. Yeah, I don't think they're struggling for suggestions or things to add to the game. That's one problem they certainly do not have. Moving on to a few more news items which have come out lately, starting with Hytale modding. So the official Hytale account recently announced the following. We are pleased to announce a special collaboration with a core member of the Hytale modding community, Corpin Joe. Working closely with modders, gathering feedback and suggestions from the Hytale community, he will serve as our official modding ambassador to help us capture requests that will feed directly directly into our work backlog to improve Hytale modding. Expect regular streams, tutorials and AMAs from him on anything modding related in Hytale on his YouTube channel. He'll also set up a dedicated Trello board for community requests to ensure feedback and ideas are managed effectively. While not every request can be implemented, this ensures feedback is seen, discussed and prioritized transparently. This will lead to more direct communication, clearer priorities and community-driven improvements to our modding tools. We expect this partnership to be a great benefit for our community and we look forward to working closely with Corp and Joe and the community. Please join us in welcoming Corp and Joe as our official modding ambassador. Yeah, there's a few games that have done kind of similar things in the past, an ambassador kind of champion or lead type community role in different areas. I think even as far back as old MMOs like Dark Age of Camelot, they had like class leads. They have to be careful with this sort of thing if they expand it, because you can kind of get some drama, accusations of gatekeeping and other things going on sometimes if this sort of thing isn't handled well. I think it'll be fine in this case. It's just you get some weird community things and drama going on sometimes in games. But it is nice that they've got some like direct link with the community in this way to organise things, act as this ambassador role, and for someone who's passionate about that side of things, which is obviously modding in this case. Simon also put out an update regarding animators with the following: we need animators as soon as possible. Big updates in the works that requires lots of fun animations, emotes, NPCs, etc. Go show your work in Thomas's thread. And Thomas's original message was, hey, we're looking for animators capable of creating Hytale style animations with Blockbench. Share your best animations and portfolios here. I just want to take this opportunity to mention to anyone that has any interest in modding or is good at modding already, is this is such a great opportunity to work in the industry. If you can show what you're made of here, the quality of the work that you can put out, there's real chances you can get an actual well-paid position in a game that has a possibly decade-long lifespan. So yeah, I encourage all modders and those who are interested in just giving it a go anyway. If it at all interests you, then go for it, because you're not going to get opportunities like this too often. So when they come, if you've got the skills and enthusiasm for it, then now's the time. And the official Hytale account mentioned, we heard you wanted to cause some trouble. This community never. Firespread and Flamethrower are coming later this week in pre-release. And as you can see from this screenshot below, yeah, I think this isn't going to be a problem at all, is it? I'm sure everyone's going to be perfectly sensible and use this for, you know, just trimming the weeds back a bit. So yeah, we'll see what happens. It should be fun. And finally, Simon touches on a couple of things we've already mentioned, plus a new one, when he says, things we are adding very soon: grass spread, fire spread, and avatar save loading presets. So we've heard about the first two already in this update, and I think it was mentioned a little while back about them working on avatar presets, so you're not just stuck with the same one character look, or you're having to go in and out all the time every time you want to change your look, especially with the fact that you can hide your armor pieces now. Having presets for your default clothes is really nice, so you can still wear your armor but look completely different in other ways. So if someone likes to play maybe like a more of a ranger or a caster type character, then they can use the default looks to kind of tailor how their character looks, rather than just having to look like they're wearing, you know, plate armor all the time, which doesn't really fit unless you're a big tanky warrior type. So, and it's another example of them continually adding these little bits into the game and little getting better and better. So there we go, there's a nice bit of news to get you all caught up on Hytale and what's happening with the game at the moment. And I'm sure there'll be more news this week as new things hit the pre-release branch, which we'll cover. So it's a fun time to be involved in the Hytale community. There's lots going on and there's exciting times ahead. So as always, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, and if you want to see more, please subscribe to the channel. It really helps for a new channel like this and gives me motivation to keep putting the time in to bring you this content. So thank you very much, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye for now.